We've got a bit of a quick fire round for you now. But I've just thrown a few questions of my own in there now. So, Ollie, do you want to take control of this one?
Yeah. Who would you say the quickest player is?
I think probably Kate Mallin is the fastest first player. But in terms of everybody considered, probably Macy
from the deaths. Nobody is catching that last one. She's on.
It'd be interesting to see a 100-metre sprint between both of them. Yeah, probably Macy as an overall fastest player, but Kate would be a close second. We'd probably lean towards
Kate. There's probably about 10 years between them.
Given the age gap, we'll give Kate some credit for her pace.
Who's the funniest player? Who's always joking in the changing room?
I think it's a combination of everyone, really.
I think it's hard because we've got a big age range and we've got very different personalities. So I think as a whole, everybody seems to chip in. I think Elford's probably up there with one of the funniest, just because she's one of the only ones who will actually say whatever she wants to with no consequence.
One of the only ones, yeah.
But I think in terms of, we do have quite a good team relationship, I think, and we all seem to, encourage one another when we're in one of those situations. So I don't really know.
I don't think there's a standout funny player, but I think as a team, like say even the quiet ones sometimes come out with some absolute belters, and and then you've got the likes of Dobby. So it's but yeah, I don't think we could pinpoint one. I think in terms of biggest joke, we would probably say Alfred.
What's the most interesting job a player has?
I think yours is probably one of them. Obviously, Danby's a policewoman, so she's always got some interesting stories. We've got quite a lot of teachers in the team, so again, you can imagine the stories that they come out with sometimes. Don't really know. We've got quite a few students who are at uni, so there's quite a different range, but I think yours would probably be the most interesting.
People find it interesting, obviously, so
just not you.
Who's a match day DJ then? Who's got the tunes on?
Well, it is Kate Mallin, but we instantly turn that music off and get somebody else to choose the song because the music choice is absolutely horrendous. it'll go from N-dubs to some horrible cheesy remix of a dance song. So she is the DJ, but she's quite often kicked off the controls as soon as we realise what music's on.
Who's the loudest in the changing room before a match? Who gets the team going?
Well, I think, Charlie's obviously the team captain, so she'll motivate us within the team talks and, make sure we're ready to go out on time and things like that. But
Dobby's always up entertaining.
Dobby's up there.
Elford often gets up and has a bit of a dance. Seems to be, I don't know how the change rooms has ended up, but there's quite a sort of a more quieter corner and then a bit of a louder corner, but then everyone just chips in. But yeah, I think they're probably the...
Yeah, I do think Dobby plays quite an important role there. She's got a lot of experience, and
she's been one of the difference for this season. Yeah. Obviously, she's come in she started as manager. That didn't, not manager, but coach and staff. That didn't last very long. Now she's dug her boots back out. But yeah, what she brings to the change rooms, I think she's probably one of the most important people in the change rooms for definite.
What player inspires you the most?
In our team, or just in general life?
In your careers.
My dad played till he was in his 50s, so I'll go with Billy Danby.
You're not going to be playing until you're 50. I'll also go with Billy Danby. No, I think in terms of, obviously we're both closer to 30 ourselves, but I think for younger players, I mean, they need to look to the likes of like Jill Scott and, Steph Horton, who are, have over so many caps on the international level, and the great role models in terms of how professional they are and things like that. I mean, for younger players coming through now who are watching women's football and are inspired by female footballers, I mean, it's totally different now than it was when we were growing up. There's so much more exposure and things now that I think those are the kind of players who you'd look to for the perfect role model in terms of having success and continuing at that level for such a long time.
How did you both get into the game? And also, how do you think it's changed over the years to the players coming through these days? Do you think it's easier when you were playing or much easier now?
Well, I played for a boys team initially at first because there wasn't really many girls team, and then eventually I think I hit an age where they were like, oh, you're probably a bit too old to be playing for the boys team, so I had a bit of a break. And I always look back and I didn't play for around 2 years when I was a kid, and I think, what could I have lost in that development time? Whereas now, I mean, there's so much for girls now, it's unbelievable compared to when we were younger, so I definitely think it's a lot better now. The opportunities are there. Obviously, you've got like the RTCs and stuff, which when I was younger, I played for Sunderland Centre of Excellence, and we trained on a Monday night and played once every 3 months. So whereas they play every single week. So I think the opportunities now are so extensive compared to when we were.
Yeah, and I think for me, I was similar. I started with the boys team, and then my dad was always my coach as I was growing up. He was the manager of our local teams, and then again, I was part of, it was firstly Tranmere Centre of Excellence, and then I went to Everton Centre of Excellence, where you had one game every 3 or 4 months, which is obviously not enough, and that was alongside your club. So, I mean, I played for Man United Ladies when I was younger, and it got to under 16s, and then there was no more teams because they didn't have the support from the men for an open age club. So basically you'd get to the age of 16 and you'd have to go elsewhere, which obviously now that would never happen. And you see Man United women they're up there in WSL1. So I think definitely the pathway now for younger girls playing football is so much more it's so much better and so much more progressive than it was when we were younger. If they've got the right foundations now, as opposed to what we had, definitely.
What advice would you give to young footballers who aspire to make it in the game?
I think it's just probably a bit of that commitment thing. I think, if that's what they want to do. I think when we were kids, we didn't grow up with the aspirations of playing full time because it just wasn't a thing. Whereas now you've got these kids now looking, going, that could be my job. And I think if that's the way you're going to look at it, the same that I imagine, academy boys get told is that commitment. But then in the same breath, I think it's about enjoying it. Because I think if you focus too much on the future and what you want to get out of it, then are you going to lose that passion and enjoyment for it? And I think that's the main thing, is enjoy what they do. And then I think naturally everything else follows with that. But I think there is, unfortunately, when it comes to stuff like that, there is that commitment. I mean, even at our age, it's a big, even though we only train twice a week and play once on a weekend, it dictates a lot of how you live your life. And I think that all, like I say, comes down to that commitment. But it's about the enjoyment and go out and enjoy the game. And I'm sure everything else follows from that.
Right then, so we've come to the end of the questions now. Thank you all for watching. I sincerely hope that you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed hosting it alongside Ollie.
Yep.
And ladies, I hope you've enjoyed being part of it.
Cheers, Ollie and Jack.